Hello everybody, I hope everyone's having a good day. It's almost the end of the week for most of you. It is my Friday, so I'm actually enjoying that. But as you see, we're right here in front of the 75-gallon tank. We are at the last part of the setup process, which is, as you can see, it's super hazy, which means only one thing, that I put some sand in the tank. It's been in there about an hour. I'm always a huge proponent of sand. Really the only problem I have with it is how long it takes for this to clear up. It says a couple hours. I've always had it take a couple days, and I fully expect this time to take longer, just because my skimmer is still trying to break in. Which, speaking of that, let's go ahead and talk about the eShop's S200. As I mentioned in the last video, it just seems to overflow, and it's still doing that, as you'll see there. After reading the instructions that came with eShops and all the expectations, they do say it's going to take 5 to 10 days for it to completely break in. So considering I'm not even at that point yet, and I turned it off for a while and just started it back up, I'm just leaving it running with the plug out of the cup out, so that way it drains right back into the sump, and I have it as high flow as possible, so that way it avoids splashing. It's actually pretty quiet, it doesn't bother me. The other thing that I went ahead and did is I went ahead and changed the auto top-off system, as well as put in another fail-safe in the tank, now that I had the ability to do so. So let me go ahead and show you guys the auto top-off that I went with. So this is the auto top-off that I picked. It's the Innovative Marine Hydrofil Titanium. It's the same one that I used on the 45 after my float switch got stuck and decided to flood the wood floors in my front room. I decided I needed something else, and I opted for that, and I've been very impressed with it. You will notice that if you look in my cabinet, I don't have it mounted anywhere, and that's for a couple reasons. One, I don't like the little sticker that they put on there. I think it's tacky. The stainless steel look, just not my thing. But the real big reason is my pump is over there, and the power cord runs down and around the sump and through a hole in the back, and then it came up into the PC4 here. Well, because of the way I have the cables wrapped up and everything like that, it just didn't reach. So I went ahead and placed the sensors in the return chamber and ran the cables through the back of my control board. Can't even see it because it's awesome. But so we'll come back around here, and this is where the cable maintenance looks pretty shoddy. And you'll see right there where the red and green light are, just by the plumbing, that is where I decided to put the control unit. Don't need to put it anywhere where I can see it, just because I believe that if my tank level is where it should be, then it's working. And as I mentioned, I put in another fail-safe, which is the pre-existing float switch that I used to use. Went in, turned it upside down, rewired it, because I had to pull it out, cut it, and resplice it. Plugged it back in, and it is now set up that whenever the water level rises and trips that, it not only turns off the auto top off, but it'll also turn off the skimmer to keep it from overflowing and putting stuff in the tank. So for whatever reason the pump fails, let's go and lift it up. Everything turns off. That's draining now. As you'll see, the water level is going down, and then as it turns back on, as the water level drops, everything turns back on. So a little bit of redundancy there. I don't plan on running Kalkwasser on the system. I'm just going to purely do the two-part, and that's going to be through a standalone doser, so I don't have to worry about, you know, my pH spiking or something like that because my auto top-off got stuck on. But let's get back to the real topic, which is the sand, and see what I decided for this sand. So I went with Caribsea sand. I've used other sands in the past, but on my last probably 4 tanks or so, the 4 builds that I've done, this is all I've used. The big reason is I like that they put literally all the information they can on the front of the cover. They put a description of what their process is, how to put it in the tank, what you can expect as far as the biological or the bacteria in the bag, as well as some of the elements that the sand that's contained in the sand. So I really like that. I also like that they offer multiple grades of sand. And then, so what I did for this tank Actually, before I do that, I was going back and looking at my videos on bulk reef supply when they did the 160-gallon building. They talked about sand, and they mentioned it might be, you know, the same if not cheaper to buy your sand at your LFS. So I went to one of my LFS here in Albuquerque, and in fact, it was $10 cheaper than what bulk reef supply had. A 20-pound bag was $29.99, and bulk reef supply currently had it for, I believe it was $38.99. I only went with 40 pounds, 20 pounds of Fiji Pink and 20 pounds of special grade, because I only plan on having anywhere from an inch, give or take, to an inch and a half in the tank, depending on what happens with the flow. For me, it's purely aesthetics. I know it helps out a lot with giving more surface area for bacteria, and everything like that, but for me, I feel tanks look incomplete bare bottom. It's a pet peeve of mine. The reason why I went with the combination, well, first off, the reason I went with only 40 pounds, besides aesthetics, is I went to Marine Depot's website where they actually have a calculator, put in the dimensions of my tank, said I wanted a 1-inch deep sand bed, and it said I needed, I think 35 pounds of sand, and then for a 2-inch deep or inch and a half deep, I think it was 45 pounds. So I just figured I'd buy 2 pounds. Two 20-pound bags have 40 pounds in there. So now why I went with 2 different types of sand. I know, yes, the Fiji Pink is probably going to settle out more where the it's probably going to settle on top of the special grade, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I plan on having my flow turned up in this tank because it is going to be primarily SPS dominant. And even though I do weekly water changes, I hate having to push sand back around. I hate looking at dead spots. So I figured if I went with a heavier grade, and then I went with a lighter grade on top of it, kind of mixed them together, yes, the Fiji Pink will get blown around, but those areas where it gets blown around and moved, I'm hoping the special grade is dense enough to stay positioned there, so that way I don't have any bare spots. That's the only reason. I've never used the special grade. I've always used the Fiji Pink. And since I'm mixing the two, I really probably won't be able to do a review on it. But that is the sand, that is the new auto top off, and that is the new failsafe. Always, guys, like, comment, subscribe for more updates on the 75. Real quick, I tested my ammonia yesterday, and it was 0.25 parts per million of ammonia, so I'm well underway with that. I just got a few pieces of frozen shrimp in there, and I'm dosing the Macrobacter 7 daily. So I'm hoping here next week I start seeing some nitrite. Once it's all cycled and I do a water change is when I'll start throwing the Zeovit in there and start doing the carbon dosing as well. So like I said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll get you some more updates. Thanks.